Hey everybody, welcome to week 11. Hey, I hope you had a solid spring break, that you got some time to rest and just sort of relax, do whatever it is you're going to do or did do, and that you're ready to come back. This week, we've got two topics that we are going to be focusing on, both of which are actually relatively significant and really deserve their own weeks, but for want of time, we've sort of collapsed them into 1 week. The first is going to be the first industrial revolution. Now, the industrial revolution has already begun to take place in the United States. You could even say that it's begun to take place as early as the late 1700s with the formation or advent, or re-advent rather, of Eli Whitney's cotton gin, which revolutionized the production of cotton in the South by making it much easier to clean. Whereby two significant things happened. One, there was a boom in cotton production because you could quickly clean cotton and create a lot more cotton production for the market, which was ever expanding. And it also contributed to the boom in the slavery as well in the South, because now you could make more money, buy more slaves to pick more cotton that could clean it more quickly, then you could buy more slaves, and the process was very secular. But the Industrial Revolution really gets underway, you could say, in earnest, really in the post-war of 1812 period, where in the North you begin to see a number of textile factories beginning to boom, largely in New England and specifically in Massachusetts. Much of the wealth and industrial development that occurred in the North was really connected to Southern slavery. And this is not something that we talk about too frequently, but many of the banks, many of the merchants, many of the textile factories, they were absolutely dependent upon slave-based agriculture because they shipped cotton, they transformed raw cotton into clothing, which then they sold back to slaves. Banks gave loans to Southern plantations. And so in many ways, American capitalism and the industrialized North very much was dependent upon slavery. And that's really not something we talk about too much, because generally we like to create this binary where we say that the North was against slavery and the South was for it. And that's just not entirely true. So we're going to be talking about that. We'll also be talking about a new type of structural work system called the factory system, which was far more efficient and productive than the outdated type of system, where you had skilled artisans really spending their own time at their own pace and leisure to make items. Now, with the factory system and the Industrial Revolution and the advent of the railroads, which contributed to the market revolution, once all that happens, the way in which people worked and the pace of life quickened. The way that they worked now was at the sound of a bell, or you clocked in, you clocked out, and you had to be productive during a period of time that you were there. You didn't own the means of production. It's very similar to probably what you experience if you have a job. The other thing that we're going to look at are antebellum reform movements, and much of the reform impulse that came in antebellum America. Antebellum simply means before the Civil War. Came out of a religious movement known as the Second Great Awakening. If you're familiar with the First Great Awakening, it's not entirely unlike that. But the Second Great Awakening really convinced a lot of folks that there was an opportunity to perfect society, and so you get American perfectionism. And part of that is to stamp out the ills and the problems that are facing Americans. This would include too much drinking, the lack of rights for women, abolition movements, among others, school reform, health reform, all kinds of different types of reform movements. So that's kind of where we're going this week. As always, you have your discussion boards. One thing I do want to make note of, and I probably should have said this much earlier, but when you do edits to your discussion board posts, instead of going in and editing your original post, just simply respond to any of my comments by making a new post. It makes it a lot easier for me to spot and see when you've actually revised and edited something, as opposed to trying to go into an edited post and find where you've placed that new content. So just post up a new post, and that'll be great, okay? All right, guys, if you have questions or comments or what have you, contact me, let me know, I'll get back to you. Otherwise, as always, go in peace, be warm and filled. May the force be with you, live long and prosper, and may the odds forever be in your favor. Have a blessed week, guys.